What's up, everyone? Good morning. I'm trying to fix my mic currently. I know I didn't realize my mic was turned off, but you guys should be able to hear me now. My voice is, I'm using my microphone on my PC currently, but give me 1 second. I'm trying to fix this currently. What's up, everyone? Good morning. Yeah, sorry for the sound this morning. I'm trying to fix it currently, but I'm not sure. My microphone just clearly is just not trying to work for some reason. That's so weird. But I guess we'll have to make do for this morning. I'm not sure how well you guys can hear me, but we'll kind of just go through with the pre-market prep. Um, let's see. Can you guys hear me? I know it's not the greatest, but you guys should be able to. Let's see, reboot. Yeah, I'm trying to I have my microphone connected. I might have to just use another display currently, or let me just plug in my mic to something else. Let's see, sure, microphone. Yeah, for some reason, it's so weird. OBS is so weird. Everything's bugging this morning. But yeah, sorry. Sorry for the technical difficulties this morning. I'm still trying to fix my microphone on my regular microphone is just not being plugged in for some reason. And then TradingView has a little bit of issues this morning loading some of the scripts that we have as well. But yeah, with that being said, we're just gonna kind of go over the pre-market game plan here today. We'll just quickly go over it and talk about the game plan coming to market open. With that being said, let's go on to the major indices. Starting off with, of course, the SPY and Qs. All right, let's go on to the SPY chart coming into today. And let's go on to the hourly time frame. So coming into today here, the key levels that we have marked out is this range that we have drawn out. So our 740 to this 750. As you can see, we have multiple touches here, multiple touches at the bottom, and we end up having this bounce right off that 740 yesterday. So this is our key level support. We bounced earlier here last week. We bounced once again in the pre-market here as well. And as you can see, we ended up pushing back towards the upside, back up and towards the 748. And now we're gravitating back up and towards the top of the range. So for the SPY, we end up bouncing exactly where we're supposed to yesterday. You can see buyers stepped in middle of the day here as well. And now we're pushing back towards the upside. Key levels that we have marked out coming into today is going to be this 748. Other levels that we can have marked out here as well, it's going to be that previous day high. So key levels coming into today, right above our pre-market highs, above the 748, potential continuation towards the upside. Another possible scenario, bounce off the 745 for this pushback towards the upside here as well. So this is what we're looking for coming into today here for the SPY. For some upside, the only way we're interested in downside is if you get underneath our 745, hold underneath that 745, then potentially we can see this flip here. in this market, but that's only going to occur underneath our previous day highs. Let's go on to the NQ along with the QQQ. So coming into today in the key levels that we have marked out, you can see yesterday we end up defending this level more so on the daily chart. You can see we had a key level support, which happens to be our really the 704 general area. You can see buyers end up stepping in nicely off this level. On the daily time frame, we end up closing above that 704 that we talked about. So key levels that we have marked out yesterday was that 704 we talked about. If we get underneath, potentially we can see this continuation lower, or if we maintain above, then we can see this potential flip. We end up having a really more so consolidation around this area, but the daily candle ended up closing above the 704. Now currently in the pre-market, we are above our previous day highs, and we're also above the area which is that 714. We do have this daily gap back towards the upside here as well on the chart. So coming into today, what we do have here is our 714. What I like to see is the break above the 714 for a push back up in towards our 722 here, which is back up in towards this gap that we created here from Monday down into Tuesday's gap down. For the SPY, similar thesis, or we actually don't have any gaps. We had a very small gap on yesterday. We had a very small gap as well. That seems like it's going to be filled back towards the upside as well. And then let's go on to the SMH. Let me actually see. You guys should be able to hear me. Netflix is a buy by the dip yesterday. Yeah, there's a couple names that were nice yesterday. If I'm too quiet, you can turn up the volume on your end. This morning, as I mentioned, we do have some technical difficulties. My microphone for some reason is on, but it's not connecting to OBS for some random reason. Let's see. Let me actually see if I can do one thing here, but it is gonna cut off the stream for 1 second. But let me get rid of this. Actually, no, I shouldn't do that. But we'll keep the stream going for now. The key levels for the SMH. Let's go on to the higher time frames. So for the SMH, I can't even have the EMAs marked out here as well, just because, I don't know, trading views a little bit. I think it had a new update, and for some reason the scripts aren't loading this morning, so we can't pull up the EMAs. But SMH so far building up a higher low here on the daily chart. We're essentially bouncing off the area that we bounced from, earlier into June, and now you can see we're getting an initial reaction so far off this area, which is nice. And what we want to see is a push back up and towards the middle of the range. So the key levels that we have marked out coming into today is going to be all the way back up and towards this full gap fill. So for the SMH coming into today, as you can see, we are gapping up currently in the pre-market, up about 3% here. If I turn back on the extended trading hours, you can see so far in the pre-market, we are having this nice push towards the upside. And we are going to fill this gap that we created, which was from Monday all the way down towards Tuesday. Key levels that we have coming into today, we can kind of readjust some of the levels that we have here as well, is going to be the 608. Let me actually kind of readjust this level along with the high that we created here on Monday. So we have our 605 and we also have our 616. So coming to market open with, of course, this gap up, what we're going to be looking for is the bounce potentially off the 605, or now we're going to be looking for longs above our 620 for continuation. There is a possible scenario that we can look for a gap fill back towards the downside, but that's only going to happen if you get underneath the 605 for this pushback towards the downside. Okay, let's go on to some futures charts really quickly. Some of the levels that we have coming into today for the futures is our 29,200. Other levels that we have is our 29,600. As for the ES, the key levels that we have is our 5740 here. Someone's mentioning that the indicators are normal now. Let's see if it works. Yeah, so let me actually just pull this up. Yeah, so this trading view was a little bit buggy, but now it should be all back and we should be good here. But yeah, we'll head on to some of the tech names that we have coming into today. So if you guys do have any charts or any tickers, you guys can now drop them in the chat. You guys should be able to hear me as well. Yeah, if you can't hear me, just turn up the volume. I can't do anything today since I have the stream started, but I'll have this fixed all by tomorrow. Sorry for the technical difficulties this week. Yeah, that's so funny. Now the mic should be working. Now it's giving me the option. Can you guys hear me now? It should be all good. That's so weird. Now it's giving me the option where I'm able to switch my mic to my regular microphone, which is so weird. I didn't do anything, but it just somehow popped up. But yeah, we should be good here now. Can you guys hear me? Yep, good, much better. All good. Yes, much better. Perfect. Yeah, I'm so confused on why that was the issue. There's a couple of things this morning, but should be all good. But yeah, for Tesla now, let's go into the charts. First things first, Tesla here. As you can see, we're just more so ranging. We have a bigger range, we have a tighter range here on Tesla. We're just not really having any sort of clear direction on this one. Let me go back onto the extended trading hours here as well. As you can see, really the key levels that we have marked out, Tesla is actually fairly clear and it's respecting levels very nicely. Key levels that we have marked out on Tesla, let's get rid of some of these drawings. Let's get rid of the EMAs here as well. But yeah, for Tesla, key levels that we have marked out was that previous day lows yesterday. Nice pop and fade coming to market open for a push all the way down in towards this 390. And now you can see buyers are stepping in off this 390. So we went from more so the top of the range down into the bottom of the range. Now what we'd like to see on Tesla is the bounce play here off this 390 above our previous day highs for any sort of long setup back towards the upside here as well. And then if we want to see some downside, right, potentially underneath our 390 for a push back towards the low. So keep an eye out on our previous day highs along with our previous day lows coming to market open. Trading view messing with your mind? No, I have no clue what was the issue this morning. But yeah, we should be good here. Now let's go into AMD. There's a couple names that are bouncing off key levels of support. So AMD, we talked about this level, very key technical level here on the higher time frames. And you can see so far buyers are defending this 500. So for AMD, key levels that we have marked out is this 500. And you can see we have not been able to break underneath, right? Multiple touches, one touch, two touch. If you're on the lower time frames, we probably have over 10 touches here right off this key level support. And so far buyers are defending this 500. So for AMD, we just want to mark out this general level. And now you can see we're getting some buyers stepping in above our previous day high. So key levels that we can have marked out. We can mark out that previous day highs, which also happens to be our Tuesday's highs, and a couple other touches here as well. So for AMD, the key levels that we have marked out is this 524. Maintain above 524, which is our previous day highs. We can see continuation towards the upside. Another possible scenario now is just looking for some sort of opening range break for a pushback towards the upside here as well, coming into market open. We do have this pretty big gap that we created. This was on Monday down into Tuesday's open. So for AMD, we can see a move all the way back up in towards the gap, which is 550 and above, which is a little bit further away. So AMD, I am still very much bullish on, right? It is consolidating on the hourly time frame, but if we're looking at this more so on the daily chart, this one's still holding up very nicely. If I put on the EMAs here as well, you can see for AMD, we're still holding up higher lows, right? Key technical levels are still being held, higher lows are still being built on the daily time frame. If we can reclaim back above, preferably if we can get a candle close now above this area, which in this case is going to be that previous all-time highs, we can see a move right back up in towards that all-time highs here on AMD, which is going to be that 580 and above. So for AMD coming into market open here, let's keep an eye out above our previous day highs, which happens to be that 520. Other levels that we have marked out is going to be that pre-market levels. We can mark out that opening range, but regardless, we're going to maintain a bullish bias above our previous day highs here on AMD. All right, let's go on to Nvidia. So Nvidia, this one is finally breaking outside of its tight range that we had. This is our first bullish daily candle close. We're closing back above the 9. We're closing back above the 21. And we're gravitating back up and towards that gap fill that we have here on the higher time frames. As you can see yesterday, the key levels or the levels that we really have marked out on Nvidia is this range between our 200 along with this 191. You can see all we're doing is just consolidating, and once we broke outside this range, now you can see we're having this nicer push towards the upside. So for Nvidia, let's get rid of this. We ended up basically rejecting off the top of the range yesterday. You can see just kind of consolidated in the middle of the range. We did have nice buyers once we got back above that 200. Nice continuation back towards the upside. So for Nvidia today, what we're going to be looking for here is a push back up in towards number one, this daily gap here on the higher time frame. So this is what we have coming to market open here. Room up in towards 207 along with the right 210 and above. Key levels that we're going to have marked out today is going to be, I can mark out, I like this level right here, which is our 203. We do have multiple touches around this 203, multiple touches yesterday as well, and a couple touches in the pre-market. Not quite your previous day highs, but for Nvidia coming to market open, maintain above our 204 for this push back up in towards our 207.60s, which is that daily gap fill and above. So this is the number one scenario. Another possible scenario is just the bounce off our previous day lows for a pushback towards the upside here as well. Sorry, previous day highs for a push up back up and towards that full gap fill here. So semis so far today are showing a little bit of strength, showing more strength in the Qs and SPY themselves. You can see bouncing up 3% in the pre-market. So we're going to be looking for a pushback towards the upside here on some of the semiconductors. So keep an eye on AMD above previous day highs, Nvidia above previous day highs here today as well. Let's go on to Apple. All right, let's talk about Apple here on the daily chart. What I like to see form on Apple is this cup and handle or a daily flag pattern. So for Apple, right now you can see we have a little bit of reaction here off our all-time highs. And now what I like to see is build up a higher low and then break above our all-time highs for continuation towards the upside. So you can see the 9, we're well above the 9 and 21. Another possible scenario is if we just kind of form this cup and handle on the daily chart. As you can see so far, we made our cup. And now what I like to see is just make this handle for this pushback towards the upside. Key levels for Apple coming to market open here, if we go into the hourly time frame, is just going to be this 308. So far, buyers are stepping above our 308. I would just like to see now more so continuation above our 308 or now above our 316. We can be looking for a continuation towards the upside here as well. So these are the two scenarios that we have for Apple coming to market open for some upside. We'll go on to Google and the rest of the names here in a second. Let me just grab some water real quick. Okay, let's go on to Google. So for Google, a little bit of reaction, but we're still very much well holding above our key technical levels here. So for Google, if we're looking at this more so on the daily time frame, right, we are still trying to build up a higher low off our 350. I'd like to see this kind of inverse head and shoulders play out here on Google, maintain above our 350, continuation back towards the upside. Key levels that we have on Google is going to be really this 350 general area. I would like to see buyers step in right off this 350. So Google's been a little bit weaker the past two sessions. We are coming back into a key level support. What I would like to see now is the bounce play here off our 352. Another possible scenario. Another possible scenario, sorry, is above our previous day lows, the reclaim back above that. We can see a push back up and towards that 360. So this is what we have coming into market open here on Google. If we go on to Microsoft, this one is a little bit weaker. Key levels that we have drawn out is going to be that 380, potential break and retest back towards the downside if we reject off this 380 for a push lower. So for Microsoft, this one never quite came up into that 400 that I wanted to see. So that 400 was a very key level. You can see we had multiple touches. Basically off this area, you can see we have a little bit of reaction, and now we're pushing back towards the downside, sorry. But as for Microsoft moving forward, the key line in the sand that I do have is just going to be this right here, 380. Go back onto the hourly time frame. Sorry, go back onto the hourly time frame. Key level is this 380. I like to see this one hold on the hourly chart for a push back towards the upside. If we can reclaim, if you get back underneath, we can see a flip underneath that 380 back down and towards 370. Meta having a little bit of reaction here currently in the pre-market. Seems like we had some news here. Amazon dropping a little bit. So the main names right now currently that are showing some strength here in the pre-market are the semis, right? You can see Nvidia had some renewed strength. AMD. The SMH is bouncing nicely off a key level support, and now we're gapping up in the pre-market as well. So with that being said, let me go on to a few other names here now. So if you guys do have any charts or any tickers, I'll go over some for the next 5 to 10 minutes. And yeah, with that being said, let's see. See some questions here. AVGO showing some strength. Yes, I'll check that out. Marvel, do you draw the key levels? Yes, I do draw the key levels out manually. I do have a video. If you join top link in the description below, I have the free daily watch list. You guys can join that, and then I have a video linked to my Telegram talking about exactly how I draw my key levels. All right, so for AVGO, this one is moving up nicely. Currently, we're bouncing off a very key level of support, which just happens to be our previous level of resistance that we broke out from. So we talked about this level being key. Buyers are stepping in now in AVGO, and now we're pushing back towards the upside. So real nice buyers that stepped in the past two sessions right off our key level of support. And now we're gravitating back up and towards this earnings low. So if we go on to AVGO, Sorry, if we go on to AVGO here, as you can see, we're bouncing off a key level of support, which happens to be our 360. Now we're about to gravitate up into a key level of resistance, which is really the earnings low in the area that we rejected from earlier into the month, or sorry, or this was last month in June. If you want to see some upside, we need it above now this 400 for a push towards the highs. We could see a potential rejection and a push down in towards this 390. Let's go on to MU. MU, this one is moving nicely now in the pre-market. Key levels that we have marked out is at previous day highs. And then 950 here. So for MU, the key levels that we have marked out yesterday happen to be our 950. You can see it wasn't able to break above in the actual intraday, but now you can see once we broke above here in the after hours, we're having now this nice pushback towards the upside. So above our previous day highs, we actually are now gravitating up and towards our next key level, which is our 1020. As for SNDK, nice bounce above our previous day highs here as well. Once we got back above this, now we can see we're gravitating up and towards the next key level, which is our 1840. For both these ones, we're having a nice push in the pre-market. If we want to see some upside today, we're going to have to get above this 1020. Above 1020, continuation towards the upside, potential rejection. We can see a move right back down and towards this 980. INTC, key levels that we have coming into market open on this one. So far, we're building up a higher low here on the daily. We're having a little bit of a bounce here as well, which is nice. But we need to see it now back above the area that we broke down from, which will go on to this time frame here. So for the hourly time frame, key levels that we have marked out is this 1020. I would like to see a trade up in towards 1020 today on INTC. We could see a potential pop and fade off that 1020 for a pushback towards the downside, or now above our one, sorry, not 1020, 120 for a move back up in towards 130 here on the higher time frame. So the levels that I have drawn out is going to be this basically 120 in this 118 area here on INTC. So those are the levels that I have on this. WDC, nice bounce right off a key level support. So these are pretty solid areas for low risk in terms of a potential bounce play on a lot of the major indices, or sorry, more so the tech names here. As for MBIS, that one is bouncing off a key level support here as well. Trying to reclaim back above or 9 and 21, but nice bounce on MBIS. How do you know your levels? As I mentioned, if you join the watch list, it'll take you to a Telegram, and it's linked in the first, it's pinned in the Telegram, showing exactly how I draw my key levels. MRVL, we talked about that gap fill. Really solid bounce so far in MRVL. What I would like to see now is, what I would like to see now is the reclaim back above this 260, which is this area that we broke down from. Reclaim back above, we can see a push back towards upside. TSM, a lot of these semis are pushing back towards the upside coming to today, which is nice to see. So TSM, a lot of these ones bouncing back above our previous day highs. So what is the game plan coming into market open? So that being said, if we go on to the SPY, the game plan today, as you can see so far, we're bouncing nicely here in the pre-market. Qs is above our previous day highs. SPY is also above our previous day highs here as well. What I would like to see coming into today is, really just that, right? Above our previous day highs, we're going to maintain a bullish bias here in the markets. For the Qs, now above our pre-market highs, or the original pre-market highs, we're going to be looking for this potential move back up and towards that full daily gap. So for the Qs, we're looking for that full daily gap back up and towards our 722. The SMH, so far, really having a strong push up and towards the 616. We'll keep an eye out on this level coming to market open. We could see a potential pullback, or now above our 616. We can see a flip here in the markets. Main watches today, there's quite a bit. There's a lot of, it's primarily semiconductors, right? AMD above previous day highs, Nvidia above our previous day highs, along with this 203. Other names that I'm interested in this morning, right? MU above our key technical levels. Now it's going to be this 1020 on the higher time frames. Currently, we're well above our previous day highs on this one. SNDK key level is going to be this 1840. INTC is going to be this 118. And other levels that, or other names that look good, like MRVL, this one is above our previous day highs. You can keep an eye out on the reclaim back above that 240. MBIS looks strong. A lot of the names so far in the pre-market are looking quite strong here. More so in specific, some of the semiconductors that we do have coming into today. With that being said, I am going to call it a session here. We do have some red folder news as well. If I'm not mistaken, that was the unemployment at 8:30. The numbers that came in, let's see. Let's pull this up really quickly. So for the unemployment claims, came in a little bit lower than expected, forecasted 218 compared to 215, which was forecasted here. So yeah, with that being said, coming into today, I'm just going to keep an eye out for the semiconductors. SPY and Qs are maintaining above key levels or above our previous day highs here as well. So we'll look for the Qs push up in towards that full daily gap. And then for the spine keys, we'll see the reaction within the first 10-15 minutes, but main watches today will just be the semiconductors, Nvidia, AMD, and we'll keep an eye on MU, INTC, SNDK, WDC, and then of course MRVL as well. Let's take a look at Dell. Dell looks good on the higher time frames. We're kind of consolidating here, but Dell is ready to have the next push up in towards our all-time highs. Key levels for Dell, keep an eye out on the break above our 440. Dell looks really good here. The break above, we can see a nice push up on Dell. The key levels that we do have is this range high, which as you can see, we've rejected. But Dell's looks very good, right? Above our previous day highs on Dell, we can see a push up in towards that all-time highs. Let's keep an eye on Dell as well. Just wait for that break and retest. Today, we could see a potential move up in towards 450 here on this ticker. But yeah, with DRAM, all the same things. Nice bounces off the lows. Those ones look really solid. Market is bouncing, so we're just going to continue to look for some semis back towards upside. But yeah, that's going to be it for me today. And that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed that. If you did, appreciate if you guys drop a like and sub. If you guys haven't joined the free daily watch, that of course is in the description below. And I will see you guys all tomorrow. All right, take care, everyone. Peace.